Welcome to The Engaging Life, a podcast about using engagement equity to improve your relationship building skills in your personal and professional life. And now, here are your hosts, Brandon Suba and Angela Cheney.
Well, Brandon, look where we are today.
We're in the back alley.
Yeah. If you're listening to this, we have a new background. It's a brick wall. It's fantastic.
Last round, it was barn doors.
It was.
We got brick walls. So if you haven't signed on to Pixel Fire YouTube channel and checked out the podcast as a video, I recommend you do it. I'm having a good hair day.
He wasn't when he walked into the office.
No, I got it fixed up though. And I'm wearing a
Supermaned it up.
I'm wearing a suit coat today.
Very nice.
Yep. Do you know why?
I don't.
So when I wear a button up like this, these collars fall. And so if I put the suit coat on, yes. Yeah, 100%. So it is by necessity, not by choice.
Well, you look very nice.
Thank you. Thank you. And if you want to see how I look, go to the Ubitubi.
Do it. So, Brandon, we're going to continue on with the customer value journey
CVJ.
that we I can't even get my words out straight. Have not as yet renamed to be Pixel Fire branded, but we will.
Yep.
We will. That
Does that
announcement
mean
will be coming.
Are we going to redo them all then?
We are not.
Go back and edit your mouth.
We are not.
Good.
It will just have a different name. The steps will be the same,
Of
and
course.
the content will be the same. We will just have it branded differently.
Okay, cool.
So again, if anybody has any fun ideas to incorporate Pixel Fire or any of our brand into the CVJ's new name, we would love to hear it.
Leave it in the comments.
That's right.
Text
Might even,
us. Give us
get a free lunch or
Ooh.
beer, something of that nature.
No, there's some motivation.
So absolutely. So far we've gotten through steps 1 through 4. Number 1, awareness. So that of course is making sure you've got your website, you've got your logo, everybody knows who you are, what you do, and what that looks like. So that's step 1. Step 2 is engage, and that's when you start getting people to engage with your brand, and that's by giving useful content. So you want the comments, you want the subscribes to the newsletter, anything to get people to start engaging with your brand. 3 is subscribe. So, some of the words are kind of, they overlap. There's a lot of overlap here.
I don't know. I think it's different to engage versus subscribe. Because you can engage with something but not make the commitment.
Right.
So
But part of the engagement can be a subscription to So there's some overlap. But subscribe is when people are really buying into the fact that they kind of want to be a part of your company as a customer, or at least just as talking about you and learning more. So you've gotten them to the point where they want to learn more. And then step 4, which we went over last time, was conversion, and that's when you're getting them to hopefully buy a smaller item, depending on what you sell. If you sell a service, if you sell a product, so you're getting them to convert a little bit. And sometimes it's not buying something. Sometimes they're just committing to some time. So maybe it's to watch a webinar or come to a meeting or something like that. So convert. So step 5, quite exciting because it is excite.
Yeah!
It's very, very exciting. So basically what step 5 is, it's that aha moment when your ideal client is like, yes, I want to do business with that company. Yeah. And it's possible that at this point they've already bought something small. So again, it could be if you sell products, it could be a small product, not your core product, but something, a lead in. For us, it could be that they've subscribed to our newsletter and maybe have done a few social media posts with us or blogs or something like that. But now they're really excited to do the full package.
Ah, yeah.
So this is that aha moment. And this is where you really want to have the hook. What makes us different? Why should you be excited about working with us as opposed to a competitor or as opposed to no one at all? Because there are plenty of businesses that what they sell is not a necessity. So sometimes you're not competing against another company selling what you sell. Sometimes you're competing against no sale at all.
Yep.
Or you're competing against somebody who sells something completely different, but that would take the money that they would have spent with you. So when you think of competition, you really got to look at it that way. A lot of the times your competition is not who you think it is.
Right. The direct same. Because in the countertop world, it wasn't always somebody else doing the kitchen. It might have been, well, we're going to do our garage floor instead.
Right.
It's like, I can't sell against that, I guess.
Yes. So this is pretty much where you got your scales here. If you're not watching, these are my scales.
Be careful with the scales.
These are the scales. So you got your scales here. And you basically tipped the scales by giving them enough value that it's tipped. So now they're like, yes. So the value that you've been giving adds up. It's just piling onto this, and finally it tips. And the big thing is to remember, we're on step 5, right? We've got more steps to go. You are giving value in every single step. It never ends.
Right.
So it can't be like, oh, I sold them. Time to cut off the value valve. Value valve. That's
the VV.
That's a fun word to say. Value valve. You never cut it off. You are continuing to give value at every step of the journey, whether they are spending money with you, or spending a little bit of money with you, or spending the whole shebang with you. You are continuing to give them value in some form.
Okay.
And as we've talked about before, it's a flywheel. So you're continually taking people through the CVJ. It never ends. You got new customers, you've got, all different kinds of things. So you have finally talked that person into being excited about your business. The scales have tipped, they're in. So this can also be the time when other people in their business have given them the green light. So, a lot of the time you're working with a, maybe not the head honcho, maybe not the decision maker. And so they need that green light to go ahead and do it. So you're giving value to this person who then has to relay it to the decision maker. Of course, you always want to get in front of the decision maker if you can. In some instances, it's not possible. They could be, maybe they don't live here. Mm-hmm. Maybe they're housebound. Maybe they just don't take those sort of meetings, Yeah. There's a lot of reasons why you may not be able to get in front of the decision maker. So you have to work extra hard to give value in a way that person can relay it to the decision maker. So you can't do things that are over their head. You need to give them concrete things that they can share. Maybe, a newsletter that the decision maker can read as well.
Oh.
You just need to make sure that you are relaying it in a way that they can convince the decision maker.
I found, especially business to business sales, it is beneficial to make really good friends with the gatekeeper.
Right.
Because they are usually the ones that relay it. And then I've always felt this in sales. If a 3-year-old can understand it, you're doing good. Mm-hmm. And I'm not calling people stupid, but you're the expert. They brought you in to be the expert.
Yes.
If you start using big, fancy mumbo jumbo, you could lose them just because of that.
Yeah.
Because they don't understand, or they feel stupid.
Absolutely.
And you don't want to make them feel stupid.
Nobody wants to feel that way.
No.
Yeah. And then this is the big thing too, is not only does it need to be information that they can easily pass on, but whoever the decision maker is going to feel the energy from that person. And if they have reached this stage and are excited now, that's so much different coming in and telling, the owner, well, I met with this person. I think they could do what we need to do. Blah, 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 blah. What do you think? The decision maker's going to be like, no, you don't seem too excited about it. But if they come in, oh my God, do you know what they're going to be able to do? Do you know that they're going to be able to double our business by blah, 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 blah? And they come in, they're animated, they're excited like that. That energy is going to pass on to the decision maker. And they're going to be like, this is it. Especially if they're trying to decide between a couple and one of them is, well, company A, blah, 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 blah. Company B.
Mm-hmm.
If you can get them to that point, they're going to sell it for you.
Right.
So
now, and you talk about this a lot, but there could be just a disadvantage if you're not vibing with the gatekeeper.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're like, oh my gosh, I can't put up with this person. And they might be excited, but be like, but I don't, you can't see unless you're watching the video, cut in the neck. But this person I can't stand. So I think it depends, getting a good vibe from them too. But I feel if you follow the steps, you can beat that because they've already experienced so much, not just you, but all the other pieces that it could lead to even, well, fine, we'll deal with this guy.
And at this stage in our business, this is the stage that if we were dealing with a gatekeeper type of situation, at this point we ask them to bring that, because a lot of the times that'll happen too. They're going to have somebody go and do all the due diligence and all of that stuff because that sucks up a lot of time. And then it's not until the very end when they're ready to make the decision that the main person comes in.
That happened a ton in countertops. They would have one person go through the whole spiel with me, and then all of a sudden, and it was usually the husband, shows up right before I present the price. And I'm like, you have no rhyme or reason to this number.
Right. All you're going to do is hear the price, and you don't have,
But again, the customer journey,
yes,
you can combat that because it's more than just
that's why they will not give timeshare presentations unless both the husband and wife are there.
Oh, that's such a slimy old sales trick.
Oh, we've fallen for that one. And by we, I mean Todd.
We're getting a free breakfast, honey.
Yeah.
That's not my Todd voice. Sorry, Todd.
Mm-hmm. That was fun. Okay, so the name of the game in step 5 is personalization. And so this goes hand in hand with the platinum rule. People love to know that you are tailoring whatever it is you're selling to them. Nobody wants to feel like a number. Nobody wants to feel like, well, I'm getting what everybody else is getting. What makes it different? And it doesn't mean that you have to change the product or service, because sometimes that's not an option.
Right.
You know, sometimes it just means tailoring the message to them, you know, using their name in emails, you know, or newsletters, tailoring it so their name is in it. Even that can be enough of a personalization to kind of say, okay, they know me. They know who I am. I'm not getting the same thing as everyone else. But then it's also, you should be getting to know them throughout. You know, you're on step 5. So if you've been talking to them in person, and in some cases you're not, because, you know, some of this can all be done outside of an office. You know, it can all be done through social media, through newsletters, through that type of thing. But if you are getting to know them in person, by this point, you should know quite a bit about them. And so you can start using that platinum rule. How do they like to be treated? Do they like to be called? Do they like to be emailed? Do they like to be texted? You know, do they like to come in the afternoon and have a beer while you talk? Do they like to come in the morning and have coffee? Do they like to come into the office and see where you work? Do they like to meet elsewhere? You know, really getting to know those things and being able to set up this whole journey based on what they like. That'll set you apart right there.
Absolutely.
Because most businesses have, okay, we meet here and this is what we do and this is, you know, go through the motions.
Well, the timeshare. Well, you have to come into the office to see. I do love the getting to know how people, because at the bank, there are some people, they just come into the bank. And then there's other, I'll be like, well, I can run out to you. Like, oh, that would just be great.
Yep.
And once you learn that, then you can kind of plan for it too.
Absolutely.
Because those that need to come into the office, and especially if it has to be both of them, you're like, oh, here's 7 weeks of dates. Hopefully you can find one.
So the other personalization is finding the plans or products or services that work best for them, because there's no better way to lose someone at this stage of the game by over or underselling. You know, you've got this person, they're excited about working with you, and then boom, you hit them with a $20,000 marketing plan and their budget's $5,000. You know, you're usually not going to get a second chance to pare it down, because what they're going to hear is, well, their good product is way out of my budget. I don't want their little stinky product that's going to fit into my budget. And it doesn't mean that that's the way we work. That's the way it will be perceived.
Yeah, right.
But if you can kind of get that information from them, and a lot of the times it's not asking, you know, because coming right out and asking for the budget, well, then it's, now they know, you know, but you can figure out pretty easily what, you know, package is going to, and then of course you are going to get the ones that their budget is $5,000, but their wants are in the $20,000 range. And so it's important knowing that too, because you don't want to work with that client. Because what's going to happen is you're going to sell them the thing that they can afford. They're going to expect the thing they can't afford. Nobody's going to be happy.
Right.
And then they're going to go out and tell people, yeah, they made all these promises.
Yep.
And couldn't deliver.
And then they charged me extra for these things.
Certainly not going to go out and tell people we bought this stupid little plan. We should have. They're not going to say that.
We would only spend this much money. No one says that.
No. They just say they overpromised and underdelivered. So it's important to know that too. Throughout the entire customer value journey, it's not just convincing other people to work with you. It is figuring out who's the best fit for you and knowing when to pop them out of the journey.
Yep.
You know, at this point at Excite, hopefully you've done your due diligence and you've got people in the funnel on step 5 that will be good fits for you. They do have the budget to buy your core product. But at any step of the game, you've got to be willing to be like, hey, this isn't a good fit for either one of us. It's you don't want to throw good time after bad. Yes, you've invested a lot of time and energy, possibly money, into them with marketing. But if it comes out, for whatever reason that this isn't going to be a good fit, you got to pop them out. Yeah. Pop them out of the journey. Stop wasting your time. Stop wasting their time, and cut your losses.
Can they hang out at the step 2 though? The engagement, like if
Absolutely.
you pop them out and they're still following.
Because there's plenty of people that we have decided are not good fits for us. They're still engaged and they send us referrals.
Yep.
Especially if they understand why. Like, hey, we're not a good fit for you because we don't specialize in that industry and you need X, Y, Z and we don't offer it. But we'd love it if you knew somebody. We've gotten plenty of referrals from that because they are happy that we didn't sell them something they didn't need. And then they meet somebody who fits the bill if we educate them and give them enough value that they know who fits the bill. And they meet them, they're like, I would love to refer them because you're a reputable company who didn't take my money for nothing.
And that's where I think price points are important, that they understand all of them, because I do know, I've seen referrals where they're like, there's no way I could afford this, but my buddy, he's got all the excess cash he wants. He's the person you need to talk to, and then they make that connection. That's a good point on the referral.
And sometimes you can plan, this is going to sound bad, and I don't mean it to, but plan the guilt a little bit, because sometimes they feel bad. They're like, they've invested all this time and money in me. I'm not going to spend any money with them. So some people want to go find you that referral because they feel bad that they wasted your time.
I don't think that's a bad thing to say.
And playing on guilt is what sounds bad.
Oh,
the way I stated it.
It's their own guilt,
right? You're not guilting them into it. But some people will feel that way. I want to give them something for the time they invested in me. It's not going to be me, but Joe over here, he's got the money. So let's do that. So again, the whole name of the game here is personalization and getting them excited, whether that's excited to buy something if they've not bought yet, convince the decision maker to work with you, or to buy your core product. Because a lot of the CVJ is about what is that core product. So, for example, let's use Pixelfire.
Great choice.
For example, our core product is really the whole shebang. So it's the website, it's the social media marketing, it's the brand, it's the whole thing. So if we get somebody in the door to do a few social media posts, that's great. That's getting them engaged. It's getting them to convert a little bit. Mm-hmm. But the whole point is to get them excited to do the core purchase. And what we really want to sell them is the whole thing, because that's the way our services work best. Mm-hmm. It's very hard to market a site we didn't build. It's hard to build a site when somebody else is marketing it. Yeah. It's hard to market a bad brand if we had not done their brand. It's hard to market a company with no logo, So it works best for everyone if we're able to get the whole thing. But it doesn't always start that way. A lot of the times it's the little pieces and then it finally comes together. Mm-hmm. And that's why we're working on this in our company too, because we want the whole thing straight out of the gates because it's a lot easier.
Yeah.
Because then you're not redoing bad stuff somebody else did. It's so cohesive. You can make sure everything looks the same, sounds the same. All of that is just so much easier and better for the client. But unfortunately, that's not the way every client comes in. They have bits and pieces they've already done or don't think they can afford or whatever it is.
When I when I started at the bank, there was a shared file. And you could tell that each folder made was from someone different because they were all, and I ended up merging 3 of them. And people were like, oh my gosh, this is so much easier. I'm like, yeah, because it just makes sense. They're all the same thing.
Right.
In the same place now. So again, same as if you have 5 people trying to come to one thing, if you've got 5 concepts trying to come together, and you have to make it all look good. And that's what stinks about the marketing piece to it is, and I think you've either said this or I know you've told me this. There are some people that are like, my aunt drew this logo right before she passed.
Hairy meatballs. Remember that?
Yeah, we had the hairy meatballs. And then you're just like, okay.
Or with us, if it's a site that was built by somebody who doesn't know what they're doing, the whole goal of your social media marketing is to take people to your website. So what happens in that situation is we get blamed for bad marketing.
Oh, right.
When what it is they went to the website, I was like, ooh.
And it was slow, and they clicked off.
Or there was a button that didn't work. There was a plugin that expired. There's all kinds of things that we can't do anything about if we didn't build it. Right. But then the marketing gets blamed for it.
Yep.
And they don't want to hear, well, you got to invest in your site. If you're going to send people to your site, you got to invest in your site.
Let me get this straight. Your best comeback to that isn't, well, it's just pay us to do your website.
Oh yeah, that's but sometimes
that is
unfortunately, sometimes they just got it done and it's bad.
Oh.
And the last thing they're like, we just spent $20,000 on the site and you're telling us it's bad. They're not going to get their money back.
No.
Now we have to spend another. Yeah, that's tough.
That is.
It's tough. It does happen though. So switching over to the relationship side. So what happens in the excite stage in a relationship?
Oh man, that's the fun, but that's a honeymoon stage, right?
It's the let's be exclusive.
Oh, okay. It's the commit. Okay.
Yeah, it's the commitment.
I see. Yep.
Because last time we had the buy-in, and that was they started to, I'm going to tell my mom about him because it's possible that he's going to be around, or I'm going to let my friends meet him. But you're not quite to the exclusive stage yet. So the excite stage is let's be exclusive. You finally cross the line from just fun, oh, he's fun to hang out with, to nope, we're going to start building something here. I am committed. So again, like you said, this is the honeymoon stage. This is all the good stuff.
Yeah.
But you know what comes after this? So this is from, if anybody is really into relationship stuff and attachment theory, the Personal Development School is something that I've gone through. She's got a weird name, Thais Gibson. She's Canadian.
Oh.
I don't know why I connected the two. Thais is not a Canadian name. It's not even a name I've ever heard before. But it's really, really, it's all about attachment theory and the way that you formed attachments as a young child is the way you're going to approach relationships basically for the rest of your life.
Wow, because that is really true.
Yeah.
Really
and then
true.
You've got two. So like I always thought I was anxious, secure. So hers are a little bit different than normal attachment theory, which you would read about in a book like Attached, which is kind of the end all be all of adult attachment theory now. But hers are a little bit different. So I always thought I had like a secure anxious and Todd was like a secure avoidant.
Okay.
And so our problems, when we're both secure, great. But one of us gets triggered. I become anxious. Oh, tell me you love me. And he becomes avoidant. Get the hell away from me. Which those two attract each other.
Of course.
I mean, they attract each other, and it can be very hard. But in this one, I found out I'm more of I am a anxious avoidant. Oh. So I have a lot of avoidant in me too. To me, it seems like anxious in my head. It comes out as needy, but what I do is because I'm scared.
Huh.
And so I have a lot of avoidant in me as well. And Todd is dismissive avoidant. So we're both avoidants. But he is a dismissive and I am an anxious. And so anyway, the whole point is it tells you how to talk to each other, how to work together with the two different styles. It's like, don't say this, which is what you would want said to you. A platinum rule.
Yeah.
It's like he wants to hear this. And it's like you find this a connector. He finds it intrusive.
Ooh.
And that was a big one.
Yeah, because you think you're doing something great.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just like, this is the worst thing ever.
Well, it's like I love him asking, where were you last night? What did you do? Where did you go? To me, that's connection. He's interested in what I was doing. I asked those questions to him. Why do you want to know? You don't trust me?
You're digging it, yeah.
It's intrusive. So it's the same, thing, but we're seeing it in two different ways.
Sure.
Anyway, so Personal Development School. But what I was going to say is after this honeymoon phase happens, the power struggle phase happens. And that can happen in marketing as well, because you see this a lot. Let's go to marketing real quick. They've bought in. They're excited. Well, then they bring in their head honcho or something who thinks he knows more than you. Or they bring in their web guy who wants to work with you.
Oh.
And then so there can be a power struggle phase in marketing too. And it's very It's very hard because you have to walk such a fine line.
Of course.
You can't offend them. You can't tell them they don't know what they're doing. You can't say, you hired us, let us do our job. Mm-hmm. It happens on the website. It happens on the social side a lot. We don't like that you posted that. We're going to change it to this. Or, it's like, why'd you hire us to do it?
Right. They don't pay us.
So power struggle phase. In a couple, it can either be, it gets established because there's the alpha partner, and then there's the one who just kind of follows along, or it can be continuous. Todd and I are continuous power struggle, which is, kind of figuring, and it sounds bad. It's very normal. Every relationship goes through it.
Right.
But we're constantly, because we both work, we're both parents, it's kind of always figuring out, where do you get to make the decisions that I support, and where do I get to make the decisions that you support? And always, and it changes.
Well, and you guys have mixed children too.
Yes.
So there's, and I don't personally deal with that, but I see it, and sometimes I'm just like, gosh, that is a rock and a hard place either way.
And that one, that's the one area where we've never struggled.
That's cool.
Because it's always been, you make the final decision on your biological kids, and I support. Mm-hmm. I'll give advice, but at the end of the day, you make the decisions.
Yeah.
And I make the final decision on my biological child. I will ask for advice, but at the end of the day, and you support. And that has always worked for us.
Well, even when my wife's mother-in-law, when my mother-in-law, I guess not hers, that'd be my mom. When my mother-in-law passed away, we got the inheritance and everything. Mm-hmm. And she has 2 sisters, so they kind of had to figure that all out. And I remember at one point, and I think this was more for me than her, but I looked at her and I go, Liz, I want to be very clear. If I start spending this money in a way that you don't agree with, I know that at the end of the day, our money is our money, but this is a little different in my eyes. You should have the final say. It was never an issue, but like I said, I didn't want to go down that path and have to put that stress on top of everything.
And that was exactly what happened when my dad passed.
Really?
Is we inherited this money. Todd's a financial planner.
Yeah.
And he's like, this is what I would like to do, but at the end of the day, this is your money. How much of it is earmarked for Delaney? That's your decision. How much of it, can go into the HELOC or whatever. Right. He's like, I will give advice. This is what I think we should do. But at the end of the day, it is your money.
That's good.
And so,
because greed is evil.
Yes.
I mean, we're not going to get into it today, but sometimes in a relationship, one gets money and the other one just loses their mind.
Yeah.
Loses their mind.
Yep. So power struggles. So that can be, again, that can happen in relationships. It can happen in business. Mm-hmm. Very easy. And sometimes it is ongoing. It's just a constant, you can get on an even keel, but then, it's never just going to be balanced all the time.
Correct.
It's not like you figure this out and then it works.
Yep.
I mean, it's any type of relationship is going to be a constant. You got to put work in, you got to change, you got to do all of that.
It can never be 50-50. It's always 100 and 100, but then you might have to pick up where someone else isn't at the time, right? And just hope that plays the same way when it's your turn.
Yep. So that's the excite phase. Very exciting. We still have a couple more steps to go. So as I have said in every stage of this, you can never just be like, I'm done. Okay, they're on board. Don't have to do anything more with them. That never happens. It's a flywheel. You continually keep them engaged, give them value so that you can turn them into the fans of your business who are selling for you without you having to pay them.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to add to step
5? No, I feel I kind of jumped in as we were going through this, but who doesn't love the excite phase?
Yeah.
And I think I got one last thing. I think it is easy to stop here because in a sales mindset, you hit your goal. Mm-hmm. You close the deal. Now you're on to the next. And that's the one thing I'm not a fan of Grant Cardone is he believes if you're acquiring, is that accusation? No, acquisition. He believes acquisition is more important than customer satisfaction.
Oh, no.
And I totally disagree with that. And I think this is a great example of he would stop here and then start on step 1 with someone else. Yeah. When you have more steps to go, buddy, maybe you wouldn't have had to go to every business in Texas and get kicked out if you did that this way.
Exactly.
So I think it's very important to remember, A, there are more steps, but then B, this is a constant.
Yes.
And that's, in my opinion, that's what makes a good partner company versus a great partner with a company.
Yes. absolutely. All right. Well, thank you so much for watching and or listening. And checking out our cool new background. I feel like I am on stage to tell some jokes.
Yeah, you just said
did you ever watch the old schooly stand-up that they usually had a brick wall?
I actually watch a lot of stand-up. Lately, Liz and I have been watching a lot of Netflix comedy stand-up. Now, they're on big, fancy stages, but I know the... Yeah. Oh, what is it? Miss Maisel? I think the amazing Miss Maisel. It's a stand-up comedian. She's female, and it's all in-ground, dark, dingy, smoky rooms. Yeah. So we're Miss Maiselin today.
Miss Maiselin. Well, thanks for joining us. As always, we love your comments. We love your shares. We love your reviews, subscribes, all that good stuff. So please keep engaging. Keep telling people about the Engaging Life podcast. And we'll talk to you next time.